You are listening to the Intelligent Vocalist Podcast, episode 181.
Welcome to the Intelligent Vocalist with John Henny. This is the podcast dedicated to help you be a smarter, better, more informed singer. And now, your host for the Intelligent Vocalist, John Henny.
Hey there, this is John Henny. Welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Vocalist. I do so appreciate you spending your precious listening time with me. My book it's in the final stages. This is pushing the rock up the last part of the hill. Before then, I can shove it off the cliff and into your hands. But so very close. Getting illustrations done for it. Should be getting cover design done next week, and I'm really pushing to have this out by mid-August. So beginning singing will be in your hands. It will also have accompanying online materials, videos explaining concepts and giving you exercises, etc. So I'm really excited about this. If you want to know about its release before anyone else, join my mailing list. Just go to johnhenny.com and sign up, and you will have the opportunity to get the Kindle version for free. I'm going to have a very short promotional period where the book is absolutely free, and I'd love for you to be able to take advantage of that. So you'll want to know when that is coming up. All right, today I want to talk about a subject that comes up rather frequently, and often when someone starts learning to sing, one of the first things that we'll want to do is sound like our favorite singer. We have singers that really inspire us, and it's very tempting to want to copy not just their style, but their vocal sound. There are guitar amps that are called modelers, and these amps are computer-based, and what they do is you can pull up any type of amp you want and create the sound within this computer-based modeler. And it's very popular for guitarists to trade models of their favorite guitarist's setup so that they can sound like Jimi Hendrix or Dave Gilmour or Eddie Van Halen. And while it's much easier to swap files on the internet to make your guitar sound like your favorite guitarist, it's much harder to do that with the voice. There are so many different factors that go into your vocal sound, from the vocal folds themselves to the size and shape of your vocal tract to how strong you are. There are voices that are stronger. There are voices that can withstand more stress. There are other voices that are much more sensitive to stress. Not everybody has the same instrument. It's not like a guitar amp where you can dial in these settings, although guitarists who are listening are probably arguing that tone is in the fingers. Yes. But that aside, it's not that easy to do in the voice, and it can be detrimental, especially when you're first singing, because you're going to tend to overshoot or miss how your favorite singer is getting these sounds. If somebody sounds really strong and chesty, it sounds like their chest voice up on the high notes, you think that they are just pulling their chest voice up that high, but likely that's not what they're doing. They're doing a much finer coordination of going into a very intense mixed voice where they are blending the lower and upper registers. I've talked about that quite a bit on the podcast. And what the beginning singer will do is just start trying to yell up there, and they quickly run into a wall. And that wall can lead to vocal issues down the road, and I certainly do not want that for anyone. I want everybody to be healthy. And that's what we want primarily when we're studying voice, is we want to be healthy so that we can keep singing for many years. You also have to ask yourself, is this person your favorite singer because they try and sing like another singer? I would say not. There is a huge difference between influence and copying. And that's what I really want to talk about. It is fantastic to be influenced by your favorite singers. It's not so great to copy them unless the job you are doing specifically calls for it. If you are in a top 40 cover band where you need to sound like another singer, or you're an impressionist. Although successful singers I know in these top 40 cover bands, they go more for the influence. They don't try and force their voice to sound exactly like another singer. Now, you do get situations like the new lead singer. Well, he's been in Journey for a while now, but Arnell, I think it's Panetta, who sounds very much like Steve Perry. And I think that may just come more naturally in his voice. He's like a vocal doppelganger of Steve Perry. I don't get the sense that he's forcing anything, although he has certainly picked up pieces of Steve Perry's style. And that's where you want to focus, is singing like your favorite singer, not trying to sound like your favorite singer. Singing like your favorite singer means breaking down how they approach music, as opposed to trying to force your voice to sound like them. And breaking down the style goes to so many elements, and this is where you can really learn from a great singer. Everything from how they phrase, which is incredibly important, where they set the notes. And I would encourage you to take one of your favorite performances and solely focus on where they are setting the notes within the beat. Are they pulling back on some notes, hesitating? Are they kind of switching back and forth? Sometimes they'll drop the note exactly where you think it should be, and then the next time that pattern comes around, they pull back slightly, or they'll push ahead the beat slightly. Are there rhythmic stresses? So much of popular music these days is really rhythm-driven, and hooks are so rhythmic. It's not like the hooks of yesteryear, where there's these great soaring melodies. Music changes, and there's so much rhythm there, and the way that your favorite singer approaches the stresses and the way they'll push certain consonants, certain syllables, and does the pattern of stress change? You need to mix this up. You can't make your singing predictable. That is one of the huge areas that separates mediocre singers from great singers. Great singers are not predictable. And they're not predictable very often in very subtle ways. They're not taking these broad strokes where you're thinking, oh, I didn't expect that. What they're doing is they're changing things in ways that keep reawakening your attention, keep pulling you back into the song. I did a YouTube reaction on Billie Eilish, and people really loved the way she sings. And it's easy to dismiss her as just being breathy. But that, I believe, is a mistake, because Billie has so many variations of breathiness, and she will change it from being completely breathy on a word to a little more compression. Even within a word, the color will change. It's really subtle, but it's beautifully subtle, like a an exquisite black and white photograph. It's minimalist, but that's really challenging. Minimalism is challenging to find variation without breaking the hypnotic spell. You don't want to knock people upside the head with these variations. It is just to keep the music flowing and the interest going. And the phrasing is so important. The vocal color is so important. The lengths of sustain, how they approach high notes, how they approach verses as opposed to choruses. This is where you really want to focus, and you really need to go as deep into this as your awareness and knowledge allow. And the more you listen, the more you will be able to listen, the deeper you will be able to listen. A lot of times, vocalists have not just a producer that's overseeing the music, but a vocal producer will come in. And the vocal producer, as the name would suggest, focuses solely on the vocal performance and the nuances of that performance. And what I would challenge you to do is to listen to a vocal performance as if you were a vocal producer. Get that mindset of minutia, of every line. What is great about that line? What could be done different? What is different from one line to the next line? How are the approaches contrasting between verse and chorus? You need to have contrast in verse and between verse and chorus, unless there is some specific artistic reason not to. But in most popular music, there is a delineation between the verse and chorus. That's one of the things that I found when students begin writing their own music, which I always incur. And if you want to make it as a singer and you're not writing your own music, that's a tough road. That's a rarity these days. You really do have to be able to write. But one of the primary weaknesses I will find is you can't really tell the difference between the verse and the chorus. It's almost an afterthought of, oh, wait, are we in the chorus now? And that should never be the case. Not just from a structural standpoint of the song, but also within the arrangement and the vocal performance. The verse usually tells the story, it sets up a situation, and the chorus usually answers the setup of, and that's why, and there's the chorus. And you need to create this sense of anticipation and this building into the chorus. And that's another key way to listen to your favorite singer. How do they build into the chorus? And when they go back to the verse, because it's a repetitive pattern, what new elements are they bringing? What can you break down? And a great exercise is take a piece of paper, and as you listen, make notes as to what's changing in the singer. Are certain notes being sustained more than others? Does vibrato start to show up? Is there more vocal intensity? Is there more stress on consonants? Are they starting to pop the words? Do they start to sing with more clarity, whereas in another part of the song it was maybe a little more of a mumble? Not that it's not understandable, but it's a slightly lazier pronunciation, and then as the emotion builds. And what's going on in that chorus, you should be able to hear very distinct changes within the artist's approach. And it's a point that I make in the book. I specifically have a section talking about singing like your favorite artist, not sounding like your favorite artist. And I don't want you to get stuck on one artist either. It is really the act of listening to artists from different genres of music and pulling in what speaks to you. You don't have to take every element, but you are going to be drawn to certain elements. Why is that? I think there are reasons you can't always be sure of, but there are reasons you are drawn to certain things. You will be drawn to certain voice educators. You will be drawn to certain styles of music and singers, and then you will be drawn to certain elements within them. And I think it's because that's more of a reflection of what's truly going on inside of yourself. And the greater the net you cast of these influences, the more varied you can be. And then, of course, it becomes all jumbled up and comes out as you. So I really push for deep listening skills. And that doesn't mean you can't listen to music for enjoyment. But you do need to set time aside for very active listening and training your awareness, training your ears, and then bringing that into your own singing. So that when you sing the artist's song, don't try and copy their vocal sound, but really see if you can grab those nuances. I was recently working on the Justin Bieber song, What Do You Mean? With a student. And my gosh, just nailing the rhythms of that is pretty intense. If you deeply listen to that song and break it down, it's remarkable what he is doing with the rhythm. There is a lot going on there in what seems like a very, very simple song, but his vocal performance is masterful on that level. And that's what you want to start finding. If you listen to Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, these great jazz singers, and try and pick up what they're doing with the phrasing, when they hesitate, why do they hesitate? Are they building anticipation, building tension? It's just a beautiful thing to hear, and that's what I want you to start being really, really sensitive to, and allowing your own creativity to grow from their example. Hey, if you want to know more about me, please visit my website, johnhenny.com, and be sure to sign up for my free warm-ups course. And until next time, to better singing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.